Welcome back to another video. We've just had a developer diary drop, the third one on Star Trek Infinite, and it's called the Artistic Vision. And we'll dive straight into it because there are a number of things I want to discuss further down because there's quite a few good reveals in this dev diary. So the Artistic Vision. In today's devlog, I will discuss the artistic vision and the decisions made to respectfully expand the franchise and showcase the extensive content that made this game possible. To grasp the intricacies of our artistic decisions, it is essential to recognize that this game offers 4 distinct gameplay perspectives. Crafting a tailored user experience for each of these major powers stood as a paramount factor in shaping the development of each asset. This challenge represents an incredible opportunity. So if I'm understanding what they're saying here, they're really going into a great deal of effort to distinguish the 4 main races, the Federation, the Klingons, Romulans and Cardassians. And we can see here in a series of images, looks like the main screen, like we see in Stellaris with the different images here of the Federation Starbase and the Klingon Starbase there. You can see a few ships. I like the detail, really nice. Like the Stellaris main screens, they're really nice. I like the detail. Oh, and you've got the Romulans there, the 3 Romulan warbirds. And then the Cardassian station, very DS9 there, Deep Space Nine. That's nice to see. So yeah, they've put a lot of effort into the graphics. I like that. It's not just some El Cheapo mod, which is good to see. The artistic vision of Star Trek Infinite focuses on 5 core pillars that make up the visual proposal of the game. The first of these pillars is consistency. We wanted the Star Trek IP to be presented as a respectful, consistent, and synergistic way to better help us visualize the wondrous universe of grand strategy games. These 3 key elements will help us analyze the treatment to give to each of the artistic elements integrated into the game. Each of these assets must fulfill these 3 purposes without exception. And in the images, we can see the different images of the 4 factions. Looks like the headquarters there of each of the different factions. And once again, good detail. Better than Stellaris, I think, from what I'm seeing in some of these images. And I like how they mentioned there again, grand strategy. They're not saying 4X or some other type of game. They're saying a grand strategy game. So they're trying to make this really about, along the Stellaris theme and the Paradox theme with its other games like Hoi 4 and Europa Univalis 4 and Victoria 3 and Victoria 2, Victoria 3 I haven't really got much into yet, but Victoria 2 certainly. Grand strategy games, that sort of theme. I can see how this is going to grow into that sort of genre as well. This brings us to the second pillar, classic Trek. The goal is to fulfill Trekkie expectations so that they are comfortable with and can identify with the use of the classic IP vision for the game. Establishing this rule greatly simplified our decision making when choosing the characters, the places they occupy within the canon, both for the actors and the audience, the models of the ships, and above all, faithfully representing the source material as the franchise was built over many decades. And there we can see a picture of the bridge of the Enterprise D there. So this tells us that they're really going to stick to the canon, the established lore from the TNG, Deep Space Nine and Voyager franchises. They're not trying to recreate the universe or create some alternate Star Trek timeline like we've seen in the newer movies and newer series and all that sort of stuff. They're sticking to the established galactic geography, politics and the art, the look of and the feel of the game, the ships, the star bases, the planets. So that's really good. And there's a bit more to be revealed further down, which I'll go into a lot more detail on because I really like how it's panning out. In order to apply all of this correctly, another pillar, stylization, is defined. In the spaceship stylization for this ship of strategy games, for this type of strategy game, legibility will always be prioritized. It's hard to say some of these words, and will respect the IP boundaries. One of the biggest challenges in the styling proposal came with the 3D models of the ships and structures. Although I was aware that the ship design had to be adapted to be able to be used in the game engine. The methodology that was used when reducing information was to reverse engineer the key elements of each design, extract them, and preserve their essence in the design. Now, I've enlarged some of the pictures here so we can see in more detail what's actually going on. And this first image you've got looks like a Klingon a starbase of some type. So you can see there how they've drawn it up and rendered it, and the detail they've gone into there. It's quite good, multiple levels there. It looks like as it grows from maybe from an it says their outpost. You can see their outpost, and then you can see them numbered as they go up. Starhold, T3 is the one on the far left. Then you got 02, 03, and then Starport. So yeah, so you can see there the difference there. In this next picture, which I've got a few pictures of here, a few images. First is displaying the 4 different designs for the star bases and ships and outposts, and I'm assuming the resource gathering stations as well for the Federation Klingons, Romulans and Cardassians. And when we zoom in on one of the pictures here, I've got the Federation displayed, and you can actually see the ships down the bottom, which is really good. You can see we've got the Sovereign class starship, the Galaxy, the Excelsior, Voyager. Looks like some type of construction ship or maybe troop transport or something there. Then you've got a Miranda class with looks like the torpedo module on top. Defiant, looks like maybe colony class ships, and it's either going to be construction or another transport ship. And then we've got the Oberon class, the survey or science vessel, whichever one you want to call it. I like the star bases too. They're quite big and chunky. I like that, the classic Federation starbase we've got here. That looks really good. And I'm quite impressed with the Cardassian one, to be honest. Just look at that. That looks really impressive, really intimidating compared to the other starbases, if I'm, to be honest. Yeah, quite, yeah. Look at that. The starships, I'm not as fond as the Cardassian starships. Romulan's one always look really good. Look at that warbird. It looks like it's I'm not sure what they call that. The top line of warbird there. It looks like an improved Diedrich's class. By the look of it, just an upgraded one. I don't know what they call it. Maybe you can comment on it, what they call it. I'm unfamiliar with it. And then we've got the Diedrich's class warbird. And then we've got, I'm not sure what they call. That's a newer Raptor, I think. What they call that one that appeared in Star Trek Nemesis. And then you've got a series of smaller classic Romulan ships. And then we've got also the Klingon. I really like the Klingon one. And was it the Negvar Vorcha class? You've got the D7 and is it D6 or D5, and then the Bird of Prey. Yeah, very good. They've gone into quite a bit of detail there. I quite like that. That's yeah. And although I would like to see more ships over time, it's still pretty good. It's a good start for the game anyway. It's like Stellaris. Stellaris had started with pretty much similar lineup of numbers of ships anyway, and then they added some more like the Juggernaut, the Frigate, the Titans. They were all released as the game expanded, so it's very similar. And I'm sure we'll get some more as time progresses. For the design of the new models, this same criteria was used. A deep research and analysis was done on the structure of the original models in order to interpret and replicate the decision making in the designs that made this franchise great. Regarding the multiple aspects of gameplay, each piece of art corresponds to a different perspective of the game, while some have shared us across all 4. This encompasses 3D models, event illustrations, loading screens, iconography, mini illustrations, portraits, VFX, and more. And this next screen gives a good idea to the depth they're going. So you can see here, if you look at the illustrations on the left, the list of illustrations are actually telling us how much background illustrations there are. 61. Event and background illustrations, 343. First contact illustrations, 264. So does that mean we've got 264 different races out there, or perhaps there's multiple for each race, I would suspect. The main menu animated scenes 4, which is those 4 we saw at the start of this dev diary. Loading screen animations 8. I won't read them all out. Mini illustrations 248, or technologies 342. So I imagine that's across the 4, but that's a good start in terms of technologies. 3D models 97. And you can see there the pictures and the graphics they're using. And the graphics do look like another upgrade from Stellaris, which is good. It's like a step up in graphics level that we can see, particularly amongst the smaller pictures, which is nice because Stellaris is 7 or 8 years old now. So it's good to see they are applying newer technology. Maybe it's a improved version of the engine they're using. I'm not really sure on that part of it. So that's good to see. In the next picture, which is all about the species, the portraits, the uniforms. Just have a look on the left there, major power portraits. United Federation of Planets, procedural human portraits, 3,640 total combinations. Wow, that's just crazy. So, and you can see down at the very bottom there, all the different variations they've got of their minor power procedural portraits. So, and then you look up here, the Endorian portraits, 1,170 total combinations. Vulcan portraits, 582. So why would we need so many Endorian portraits? Is it possible to play as Endorians? I don't know yet. We don't know. You'd think we'd be able to play more than 4 races. Maybe there's scenarios in that, or that you can play with other races. Because why would you need 1,170 Endorian portraits for a race that you can't play? That just doesn't make sense, does it? So there's something more there that they've got to reveal on why they need so many Endorian portraits. Maybe it's just because it's all part of the Federation. Vulcan portraits, 582. Tellarite, 888. Perhaps you can beat a Federation and you can pick your main starting race as either, because they were the 4 founding races of the Federation. Perhaps that's it. Romulans, they have 750 total combinations. Klingons, 540. Cardassians, 950. So you can see there's just so much combinations and variations that you can pick a lot of different styles for your race, if that's what I'm reading, unless they're separate pictures for different events or whatever happens. I'm assuming this is for the actual game, and some of these are going to be able to pick for your species that you want to start with. You can customize it at the start, I'm assuming, with this. We can see there you've got some different uniform picks as well. And deluxe edition outfits we can see there on the right as well. So for those of you who bought the deluxe edition. And you can see there minor power portraits. You've got a whole series of minor powers: Bajorans, Bolians, Bosilic, Talarians, Janali, Kalon, Talarian, Katarian, Akamarian, was that Farian? I won't read them all. You can see them all. You can see there's quite a lot of combinations there for them. And you can see Crisis, Borg, 8 total combinations. So we've got that confirmed. The Borg is the Crisis, which you'd think, no, lo and behold, the TNG era, that, and Voyager in particularly, with the Borg as well, that they would be the Crisis. So the Borg are the Crisis. Hopefully they add more Crises over time. Support powers, Nausicaans, Ferengi, and El-Orians. So they've got some combinations there as well for the different styles and looks. So that's really interesting there. That provides a lot of information on what races are in the game, what minor powers, the depth they've gone into, for the variations of all the look and feel of all the different species and races. You can see there just how much effort they've gone to. That's an eye-opener. So taking into account that style makes functionality, we find the next pillar, gameplay first. The UI must always inform gameplay first in each of its decisions. The user experience posed a great challenge to us, since we had to define an artistic proposal for the user interface sufficiently clear and defined that could coexist with realistic graphics support with a 90s photographic style. Now these next images are very revealing. The first one we've got, you can see the 4 different mission trees. Now keep in mind these mission trees, that's just the very top of the mission tree, and you can also see the main UI screen as well. The next image you've got, I've zoomed in on the Federation screen, and the mission tree. I just want you to look at the fact that on the top right you can see the scroll bar of the mission tree. Look how far it scrolls down, or how small that highlighted section is. So there is a really deep mission tree here, which I think looks a lot like the Hearts of Iron 4 focus tree. This is what it reminds me of, and that you're going to be able to go down and do different missions here and select different options. You won't be able to pick them all. It'll be a choice, a trade-off between the various ones. So that's going to be trial and error to work out what best suits you and the gameplay. If we have a look at the UI looks similar to Stellaris, with the main resources up in the top left. I won't try and identify all of them, I'll leave that up to you guys, but yeah, it does look very much like Stellaris, sort of a feel with the different icons and different resources of the Star Trek universe. Down the left, we've got probably the quick menu bar there on the left, which is also like Stellaris. And then we've got some more options down the bottom left there. And they look like maybe some even quicker option. Maybe that's for planets and science, technology there. We'll look at construction. Not sure what that real bottom one is. And across the very bottom, you got looks like a few different menu or view options as well. Some more quick options. But look at it to get to different screens. And some information on what system you are, the game's paused. And down the very bottom right, 7%. I'm not sure what that is. It says 7% at the bottom right with like a little picture of the galaxy. Is that like maybe how much of the galaxy you've explored, or the quadrant you've explored, or the is it a war score? Who knows? You leave that for you guys to look at the very top. Similar to Stellaris, the pause and the different various speed options. And the music options, and in the middle and the top we've got, looks like some science and a couple of buttons there. There must be maybe their notifications, I would suggest, like we have in Stellaris across there as well. So the UI, it looks very nice. Once again, the graphics look a bit better than Stellaris, another upgrade. So I'll leave you guys to comment on what you think of the UI. I think it's pretty good. It's pretty much what I expected, I would say. The influence of the original interface used in TNG, combined with some of the most current graphical resources of the franchise, made it possible to achieve a clean and flat style topped with glass resources that make a high-end interface emphasizing functionality, both for the iconography and the mini illustrations. Functionality is always prioritized. The same applies for the VFX and animations. In terms of diversity, this was one of the most crucial aspects to consider when creating content, as the franchise has prioritized it since its inception. To achieve this, we collaborated closely with Paramount to carefully curate and define both the event content and the character portraits. And we can see there a whole series of portraits from the TNG era there with Worf, Riker, Picard, Data, and Troy. The images are quite nice. Once again, the detail of the game and the images, I like that. And it's sort of, I think that puts to rest just that people think, it's just a quick little mod for Stellaris and Paradox to make money. They've gone to a lot of effort in this. This has been in development for some time. Finally, we find the last pillar, faithfully representative. The informative and functional content of this kind of strategy game will be enhanced by the Star Trek IP and its components. The visual content of the original TNG series will be used as faithfully as possible in each artistic decision. And that's the end of the developer diary for this week. But the theme I'm getting is they're really focusing on sticking to the canon, making things as original or respectful to the original content as possible, which I know is a really big issue amongst a lot of people these days. They're sick of seeing movies and TV shows and games and rewritten, and they're just going on a tangent and remaking timelines, and like the Star Wars movies and then the later Star Trek episodes and even some of the new Star Wars series. And I know people get annoyed at that, but this game is sticking to the law, sticking to the canon of the TNG, Voyager and Deep Space Nine eras. So they're making that very clear, and they're running it through with Paramount as well to stick with the canon of what they want as well. So I think that's a really good aspect of the game, and it should really appeal to a lot of Trekkies and people that like to play space strategy games and have an interest in Star Trek, because they're sticking to the main storyline, which is great. And it's I think it's going to hold them in a good stead for the future, as long as they keep that as we advance with DLCs and other things as the game naturally grows over time. So I'm interested to hear what you guys think, what comments and stuff you've got on the game so far. And as weeks go by, we get more and more information. I think we've had quite a bit more information come out. So we know the Borgs, the Crisis. We've seen part of the mission tree, the UI, the graphics, and just how much detail they've gone into. So that, I think that is surprising, just how much graphics and combinations there are, which just shows the effort and the level of detail they're putting in to this game. It's not just a mod. It's like a full-on standalone game when you compare it to Stellaris. So I like that. It wasn't just just add in a few images here and there and convert it over. It's no, they realised they need to make a full game, otherwise it'll upset a lot of people. Positive so far, guys. That's what I'm thinking. So if you like this video, hit the like button for me and add some comments, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.